buyer give in, and something that is really important to the seller, they create a little value. If they exchange that with something that is not important to the buyer but is important to the seller, so that is a give or and take, to look at where the interests from the buyer and the seller are biggest, and see if they can exchange this. If they can exchange this, they can increase the value. So that is a very important concept in win-win negotiation. So what could be these interests? That could be like personal interests. For example, it could be if the seller is very close to reaching his monthly target, then making the sale will be very important to that seller, because that would actually mean that he will get his bonus, yes or no. If you know that as a buyer, well, you are in for a treat, because probably you can negotiate a pretty good deal if you sell that car right there. So if a buyer understands that the seller is eager to close that deal today, then you can address his personal interest and say, you know what, I can help you. I'm willing to buy that car, but unfortunately, I'm not in the position to buy it for what you're asking for. So why don't we see how we can make this deal happen, so that you can get your bonus and I can get my car. Right? So that you look at the personal interest, not necessarily the interest of the organization, but the personal interest. Another personal interest could be that the negotiator on the other side doesn't want to budge on the price. So he knows that, for example, the buyer realizes that the seller is actually very reluctant to sell the car below 4 million. Why? Not that there is a big difference between 4 and 3.8, but actually he feels that he wants to sell himself to his colleagues within his own organization as a strong negotiator, as a hard negotiator. So in that case, basically, you can try very hard to negotiate the price down to 3.8, but you know that will be a very high value stake for the seller. So in that case, what you could do as a buyer, you can say, okay, well, if I need to pay 4 million, why am I not going to try and get some additional benefits, like an air conditioner, a car stereo, light metallic wheel caps, I want to have this metallic color, I want to have a bigger engine, I want to have warranty and all these things. And I could actually start to add a lot of features and in order to actually get something that could be beneficial to me instead of trying to negotiate the price down. So recognizing personal interest could be a very good way to actually increase the value for both you and the other side of the table. Business interests. Sometimes you can negotiate about, something very mundane, a small deal with raw materials, for example. Then as a seller, you may be able to figure out that the buyer actually has a very strong interest, because what you are selling to them is very necessary for their primary process, for their production. And if they do not have enough of your raw material, their production will come to a halt. So the value of what you are offering is actually much higher than the price would suggest. So if you figure out that what you're offering is of key interest to the buyer, you will be able to negotiate better conditions. Right? Or when you are going to negotiate with a party, let's say that you are going to negotiate with you are new in Vietnam, and you are going to make a sale to a company, and your long-term perspective is that you actually want to get closer to this company so that they can help you to establish your position within the Vietnamese market. that is a long-term perspective that you have. So in case like that, it would be maybe beneficial not to negotiate and bargain very hard, but to sell your goods, to sell your wares at a reasonable price to the buyer, so that maybe your profit on that single deal might not be that high, but the way that you can actually create this relationship and create future opportunities for yourself within the Vietnamese market is far more important. So in that case, you're not going to drive a hard bargain, of course. Other things you might have is, for example, tangible and non-tangible interests, like face saving could be important. So I need to have this deal, otherwise my reputation is at stake. Or letting somebody win. That could be very important. For especially good salespeople will negotiate.
Why face saving?
Face saving. Well,
Why?
sometimes it may be very good to let people feel that they're winning. So, for example, a young couple comes into the showroom, right? And basically the guy is going to do the negotiation, right?
They're saving for what?
Yeah, so basically you don't want to humiliate the guy there. You want to make him feel good about the deal. So what you do is you basically you figure out what's important to him, and you're going to let him win. You're going to say, okay, basically I cannot give you this price, but okay, one moment, I will call my boss and see what I can do for you, right? So basically you give the other side the opportunity. They walk out as a winner, right? So what you want to do is never want to humiliate the other side. You always want to make them feel that they are the winner, not only for at that moment, but also for future deals. So you want to let them save face. You don't want to humiliate the other side. That's bad for business. Okay, so benefits to gain, risks, cost to avoid. What was that? Vision, benefits to gain. Sometimes my slides are a bit too condensed. Right, so that it comes a little bit closer to business interest. It's more about how does what is their vision? So, for example, if they sell you this product, this company will have a significant risk reduction, or less things to worry about. For it, well, okay, talk about interest. Like the person who hired me made a commitment that some changes would take place to the staff. Basically, she put that her career, more or less, her support with her people depends on delivering. So, for her, actually, the fact that I'm there is not only to improve the condition of the department. It's also personal, because it actually protects her position within the organization, because she's taking action, and by doing that, she can maintain the support of the people in the department. So I really felt a sense of relief that I was taking this actually not maybe particularly for the output that I would deliver, more for her position within the department. So these kinds of interests are very important to realize. So be careful before you actually start to put down your heels and you mark your territory. First, look very careful and try to figure out what drives this person. What is on that person's mind? What vision do they have? Why do they need your product? in what way would that benefit them? Would that be a small benefit, or would actually the purchase of that product is crucial for them or for their organization? That is basically the visionary part. Figure out what
cost avoid. What kind of cost?
Oh, well, basically, what could happen is that, well, very simple example. I could sell somebody a bottle of oil for their car. That's just a bottle of oil, right? But what if this person, for example, would not buy that oil? That could, and they need that oil, and oil is not available. It could ruin their engine, right? So that it's simply a bottle of oil, but for them it equates maybe the cost of completely trashing their car. So the value of that bottle of oil, maybe it can be purchased for 10 yen, but the value for them ultimately could be a risk avoidance of 4 million yen.
4 million yen.
4 million yen. Okay, other example. I'm going to buy a bicycle repair set or a tire repair set, right? So it only costs 500 yen. 500 yen. It's a very cheap thing. But on the other hand, what would be the cost if I would get stuck somewhere with my bicycle and I wouldn't have a repair set? I wouldn't be able to be on time for work. That would be a much bigger risk to me. So I can buy this thing for 500 yen, but the actual value for me, risk avoidance, cost avoidance, would be much higher than the 500 yen. So what happened when I did this in Africa, I was actually asked to pay $25 for the tire repair set because the salesperson very well understood that my interests were very big and his price was very low. So he tried to get 10 times as much for his tire repair set than actually was the actual that was the true price, because he was smart enough to realize that my interest was much bigger than the price of his product.
In the case of a car, what the example cost to avoid?
Cost avoid? A warranty.
Huh?
Warranty.
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 Oh, okay. Okay, warranty. Safer.
Right.
Okay, let's move.
Okay.
What is the last line means? I don't understand. If I were in the situation.
Yeah, what would I care about? So put yourselves in their shoes. How to do this? How to figure out what's their vision? So instead of focusing on your position, basically what you want to do is you want to put yourself in their shoes and think, okay, what if I were in their shoes? What would the world look like? What would be important if I would be working for this company? If I would actually have this company with this, what would be on my mind? And that you're going to prepare yourself by not only studying them literally, but also putting themselves then in their shoes and say, okay, well, all right, it's quite likely that this is on their mind. So you're going to.
What about you?
What about me?
Right? Okay.
Right. So what about you? So what if I was this person? If I were you, how would I see the world? What would be important for me? How would I respond to that? How would I deal?
Okay.
How would I negotiate?
Takahashi, could you follow? This page we discussed last time, more than 1 hour.
Last one.
I understand this one. There's a little bit difficult. His sentence is too truncated. Position interest is I didn't understand, but now I understand. You got it? Okay,
Okay.
move.
Move.